As the 10th Islamic century dawned, whilst the Ottoman vanguard subjugated the Aegean, a man destined to shatter the Mediterranean's martial equilibrium was born within Karabağ's dust. Christened Turgut Reis, this Anatolian shepherd's son inhaled the ocean's bitter salt early, marching through the Ottoman artillery before forging his invincible spirit upon the unforgiving waves. Never a mere disciple when embraced by the Grand Admiral Barbarossa, he embodied the savage edge of unrefined iron, craving only war's bloody whetstone for supreme perfection. Witnessing the ferocious siege of Corogne in 1534, he spearheaded the vanguard ravaging Italian shores, amassing a grim battlefield mastery envied by older aristocratic naval overlords. Barbarossa proclaimed an unprecedented prophecy, anointing him the singular rightful inheritor of the Grand Fleet, forging an absolute decree from modern Islamic history's most formidable maritime sovereign. Crowned the unsheathed sword of Islam, his maritime campaigns were no chaotic raids, but rather chilling, calculated orchestrations, blending dark espionage, amphibious assaults, and shattered enemy ramparts. His terrifying dominion stretched from Alexandria's twilight eastward to Gibraltar's western abyss, transforming this colossal aquatic expanse into an unrivaled theater of his masterful, blood-soaked martial genius. His phantom galliots glided silently through claustrophobic island straits beneath moonless skies, incinerating the dawn harbors of Naples and Palermo before vanishing flawlessly into the cerulean deep. Far beyond mere piracy, his apocalyptic doctrine systematically severed Spanish supply arteries, neutralized Genoese strongholds, and ruthlessly drained the Holy League's Western armadas of their martial lifeblood. During 1539, his iron-willed armada intercepted the Genoese titan Andrea Doria near Corsican shores, nearly rewriting history's tapestry before capricious fortunes demanded a meticulously calculated tactical withdrawal. Yet the unforgiving abyss spares no legendary warlord. In 1540, Turgut was utterly ensnared by Giannettino Doria's treacherous Genoese naval ambush lurking off the rugged Corsican coast. Europe's greatest nightmare found himself shackled beneath the unforgiving decks of a Genoese galley, where brutal iron chains bound those very wrists that once commanded apocalyptic naval maelstroms. Through 4 agonizing years of captivity, his unbreakable spirit merely intensified his tactical wrath, scrutinizing Genoese maritime stratagems to ultimately forge their own weapons into their impending doom. Redemption arrived in 1544 when Barbarossa paid a colossal ransom, unleashing back into the Mediterranean a supreme blade sharpened immensely by the dark fires of pure vengeance. Turgut resurfaced not merely as an emancipated soul, but as a transfigured warlord bearing captivity's physical scars, transforming every impending skirmish into a brutal matter of absolute honor. By the mid-15th century, the unforgiving Mediterranean was torn between the Ottoman Leviathan encompassing the east and a formidable Habsburg papal alliance dominating the north without possible compromise. Under Emperor Charles V, Spain forged Mexican silver and Peruvian gold into an impenetrable island fortress wall, zealously guarding Europe's bleeding heart against the relentless Ottoman onslaught. The West languished beneath joint dominion. Genoa dictated merchant routes, Naples quartered ironclad Spanish garrisons, whilst Malta's fanatical knights fiercely protected Christendom's underbelly, dreaming of glorious resurrected crusades. Against this monolithic alliance, Turgut commanded his nomadic fortresses along Libya's coastline, orchestrating devastating amphibious bombardments with a lethal precision that entirely eclipsed the greatest organized Western armadas. In 1548, he unleashed a torrential vanguard assault upon Calabria's coastline, harvesting 26,000 captive souls, paralyzing eternal Rome, and utterly devastating Naples's crumbling defensive lines. His dark objectives eclipsed mere navigation. Each incinerated Italian harbor severed vital supply arteries, whilst every plundered citadel guaranteed another bleeding month for the sprawling Habsburg imperial treasury. Encirclement fell upon invincible Malta in 1551. Though realizing the treacherous sands of time betrayed him, he masterfully withdrew, preserving his iron wrath for future apocalyptic strikes. Geography itself became his merciless blade. The claustrophobic Messina Strait, Djerba's isolating gulf, and Tripoli's multidimensional peninsular fortress represented dark nexuses of his terrifying, unyielding strategic brilliance. Spain fully recognized this creeping darkness, prompting Emperor Charles to feverishly double the Sicilian vanguard, though Turgut eternally shifted his phantom trajectories, ensuring his slaughter remained entirely unpredictable. His armada fluctuated menacingly, executing coastal raids with 20 lightning-fast galliots, yet summoning over 120 oars of apocalyptic fury during monumental clashes alongside Ottoman leviathans. Unleashing terror upon Reggio Calabria in 1552, he devoured their munitions and gold, incinerating the harbor completely before vanishing flawlessly into the mist ahead of Spanish reinforcements. Beyond mere iron, his deadliest weapon was profound psychological horror, compelling Italian lords to abandon summer coastlines, whilst the whispered phrase "Turkish corsairs" paralyzed innocent children with dread. Yet his greatest geopolitical conquest transcended mere raiding. Snatching Tripoli in 1551 transformed a crusader bastion into an impregnable Ottoman fortress dominating the heart of North Africa. St. John's Knights had suffocated Tripoli since 1530, governing Mediterranean commerce, until Turgut perceived its fractured foundation, calculating its absolute annihilation through one perfectly orchestrated apocalyptic strike. He unleashed a relentless terrestrial and maritime encirclement, deploying 4,000 savage infantrymen, whilst his naval vanguard strangled the port, crushing the citadel within mere days of bloodshed. Anointed the absolute sovereign of Tripoli, he aggressively fortified its tempestuous shores and expanded dominion toward Fezzan, forging Libya into an impenetrable iron shield, protecting the Islamic Mediterranean. Turgut's martial theology rested upon three unbreakable pillars: lightning amphibious landings, devastating surprise bombardments, and phantom withdrawals, eternally denying Europe's grandest admirals the glory of a decisive victory. He engineered his amphibious invasions through ruthless stages: lightless nocturnal reconnaissance, deploying vanguard archers to dominate the highlands, followed by the terrifying descent of heavily armored galley oarsmen. Confronting 48 Genoese leviathans commanded by the Doria dynasty at Ponza in 1552, he orchestrated a monstrous maritime pincer, positioning 3 iron columns to asphyxiate the horizon. He commanded his right flank to feign retreat, dragging Doria's left wing into treacherous western shoals barely 7 feet deep, activating a topographical nightmare forged through dark espionage. As Doria's fleet chased the illusion, Turgut's left vanguard descended from the northeast, unleashing apocalyptic cannon fire upon the completely exposed, vulnerable ribs of the distracted Genoese armada. 6 Genoese galleons shattered, whereas 4 were enslaved, whereas Turgut withdrew bearing minimal scars, a testament to his gunners' supernatural precision that no cartographer's map could ever quantify. The sinister secret behind his cannons lay not in sheer iron mass, but in merciless weekly bombardments, mastering rapid artillery manipulation across violently pitching decks amidst tempestuous waters. When Emperor Charles encircled Djerba in 1560, an unholy crusader coalition emerged, summoning an apocalyptic swarm of 87 vessels representing Spain, Venice, Papal Authority, and Maltese knights. Facing this colossal monstrosity, Turgut invoked a terrestrial attrition doctrine, carving labyrinthine northern trenches and elevating medium artillery platforms to deny any encroaching European vessel safe amphibious anchorage. He demanded Admiral Piali Pasha divide his monumental Istanbul fleet into a crushing maritime crescent, engulfing the Europeans eastward and westward, whilst Turgut commanded the northern coastal abyss. On May 28, 1560, the cataclysmic Battle of Djerba erupted. 27 Spanish galleons descended into watery graves, reclaiming the island and inflicting Spain's most devastating Mediterranean slaughter. Turgut's supreme tactical sorcery involved preemptively severing vital supply arteries, deploying nocturnal phantom galliots across Sicilian maritime paths to completely suffocate European reinforcements during their most desperate hour. After the carnage, Turgut erected a towering monolith of European skulls, not mere mindless savagery, but a terrifying strategic warning against challenging Ottoman supremacy over the African coastal dominion. During his notorious 1553 devastation of Corsica's Bastia, he proved his terrifying mastery of synchronized amphibious warfare against an island shielded by ancient, impenetrable Genoese stone fortifications. He conjured an elaborate illusion, blinding the defenders with artificial smoke and phantom bombardments striking the eastern shore, whilst his true legion manifested silently within the southern Gulf. As the desperate Genoese vanguard rushed eastward battling shadows, 1,200 elite Ottoman executioners strangled the southern gates, triggering Bastia's absolute collapse within 3 hours of the dawn. Strategically expanding his dark web, Turgut continuously synchronized with Tunisian strongholds, utilizing Sousse and Sfax as unprecedented logistical sanctuaries within the bloodiest chapter of Islamic maritime warfare history. His logistical sorcery forbade any warship from sailing without 30 days of lifeblood, whilst shattered hulls were resurrected in mere hours, preserving his armada in eternal, devastating readiness. Human geography forged another brutal weapon. He weaponized indigenous Amazigh corsairs and Libyan nomads who intimately navigated every treacherous reef, illuminating his apocalyptic path through the oceanic abyss.
Executing unparalleled psychological warfare, he warned Messina's lord of an inevitable arrival, only to manifest 30 miles away, incinerating an entirely different harbor beneath the bloody dawn sky. Psychological terror was never an afterthought, but his core doctrine. His legendary malice preceded his armada, compelling massive coastal evacuations and commercial paralysis without firing a single cannon. Whenever forced into unfavorable, exposed engagements, like encountering Juan de Mendoza's formidable Spanish fleet near Sardinia, he flawlessly withdrew 30 galleons, refusing to sacrifice iron to blind chance. His tactical withdrawal remained a lethal repositioning strategy, luring pursuing Spaniards toward the treacherous Gabes Gulf, trapping heavy galleons in shallow death zones impossible to escape or defend. Striking the supposedly allied French Languedoc coastline alongside Algerian forces in 1553, he brutally confirmed his loyalty belonged entirely to military conquest, not fragile, shifting diplomatic illusions. His unprecedented crew forged a terrifying human crucible. Ottomans, fierce Algerians, exiled Andalusians, and European apostates, all melting flawlessly within the unforgiving inferno of his absolute, ironclad leadership. Bombarding Naples during 1552, his 36 Leviathans captured 2 anchored galleons under the blazing midday sun, paralyzing the city's terrified populace with a display of unimaginable arrogance. Turgut amalgamated impossible virtues, an assassin's precision in uncovering weaknesses, a warlord's ferocity during slaughter, and an emperor's wisdom to sustain conquests, elevating him from commander to myth. Forged by starvation and chains rather than mere iron, this Anatolian shepherd knew defeat equaled eternal bondage, fighting every apocalyptic battle as his final chance to breathe free. The 16th century merged holy war with bleeding economies. Each incinerated port paralyzed markets, while captured merchant galleons fueled the sprawling Ottoman armada through treacherous oceans of hatred. Even crowned Tripoli's Pasha by Suleiman the Magnificent, his savage soul remained untamed, personally commanding brutal vanguards rather than cowardly orchestrating slaughters behind heavily fortified, opulent palace walls. Europe's deepest terror stemmed not from his galleons, but his chaotic unpredictability. Possessing no fixed raiding seasons or patterns, he became an unstoppable phantom nightmare, defying absolute destruction. By the late 1550s, 3 colossal empires, Spain, Genoa, and the papacy, bled vast treasuries into shadowy espionage, planting desperate informants across North Africa to intercept his impending wrath. Yet Turgut mastered this dark theater, deliberately feeding their spies poisonous illusions, whispering of Sicilian conquests, only to unexpectedly incinerate eastern Spanish shores in supreme psychological naval dominance. When Istanbul's final summons echoed, the octogenarian warlord embraced the encroaching darkness, answering the call with an iron-bound heart, preferring glorious battlefield obliteration over cowardly, sheltered twilight years.
In 1565, Sultan Suleiman unleashed his apocalyptic decree, the absolute annihilation of Malta, aiming to rip St. John's Knights from the bleeding side of the Islamic realm. An armada of 138 Leviathans materialized, carrying 33,000 ruthless janissaries and artillerists, with Turgut Reis towering ominously at the spearhead of the apocalyptic oceanic onslaught. Fort St. Elmo, Malta's vanguard shield, became the ultimate target, an impregnable stone beast guarding the Grand Harbor, demanding its roaring cannons be silenced before any invasion could manifest. Turgut forged the brutal siege alongside Commander Mustafa Pasha, positioning heavy artillery across southern hills, orchestrating three-pronged assaults and choking the harbor against inevitable Spanish reinforcements from Sicily. Within the council, Turgut identified a catastrophic tactical flaw, demanding redirected bombardments toward the northwestern corner to guarantee the citadel's collapse before any European armadas could ever intervene. On June 18, 1565, Turgut personally adjusted a monstrous cannon's trajectory amidst the perilous vanguard trenches, calculating the precise angle to annihilate St. Elmo's towering northern fortifications. A sudden retaliatory bombardment shattered the earth beside him, driving lethal, jagged stones through his chest, felling the Titan who planned everything except his own unexpected bloody demise. Bleeding in his tent, he heard Mustafa Pasha's triumphant whisper of St. Elmo's destruction, smiling into the abyss, finding absolute peace within the grand victory he had orchestrated.
Turgut's demise ripped an unfillable void across the vanguard. Malta's supreme geographical master perished, erasing the only visionary who realized the true conflict required a simultaneous three-front annihilation. The siege continued, yet his absence bred chaos. 8,000 Spanish warriors breached the island, forcing Mustafa Pasha to abandon the shattered campaign on September 8, 1565. Scholars assert Malta's doom would have manifested had Turgut lived, for he alone possessed the dark foresight to unleash total destruction mere hours before the Spanish vanguard arrived. The dark tidings struck Istanbul, deeply devastating Sultan Suleiman. Turgut was entombed within Tripoli, his conquered jewel, resting beneath cold marble, eternally overlooking the blood-stained African oceanic tides. Across Rome, Venice, and Seville, monarchs exhaled, not merely for Malta's salvation, but because the phantom who rendered their grandest strategies meaningless had vanished, ending 40 years of terror. Spain's King Philip ordered a requiem for his eternal tormentor, an exquisite paradox cementing Turgut's legend. His mere death was celebrated as Europe's most monumental standalone martial triumph. Historian Renato Semprini proclaimed, Dragut alone orchestrated 5 simultaneous cataclysms, 1 on the bloody waves, and 4 echoing inside his enemies' minds, rendering his ultimate defeat virtually impossible.
Turgut bequeathed far more than shattered galleons. He authored a dark martial grimoire studied endlessly. Devastating surprise bombardment, phantom withdrawal, lethal repositioning, and strikes from entirely unseen dimensions. His asymmetric warfare doctrine, a swift flotilla bleeding out colossal naval juggernauts, preceded modern guerrilla tactics by centuries, proving apocalyptic timing and treacherous topography conquer sheer iron mass.
America's Naval War College teaches force multiplication by dissecting his apocalyptic operations at Djerba and Ponza, eternally revering his supernatural mastery over treacherous topography and terrifying tactical surprise. From his dark legacy, Tripoli became an impregnable Ottoman fortress dominating Africa for 3 centuries, proving mere hours of ruthless slaughter planted ironclad dominion across countless unborn generations. Despite Malta's failure, the apocalyptic panic it unleashed forced Spain to bleed its treasury into vast new strongholds, creating a strategic hemorrhage rivaling 10 catastrophic open-water naval massacres. Turgut eclipsed all predecessors by forging the first systemic maritime intelligence network, an invisible web of merchants, fishermen, and emancipated slaves supplying lethal secrets weeks before unleashing hellfire. 84 documented slaughters across Europe's coastlines over 4 decades forged a monstrous operational chronicle, a testament of devastation rivaled solely by Barbarossa's legendary prolonged maritime supremacy. Turgut's life reveals a chained slave who rose to bind Europe in terror, proving destiny is never forged by heavy shackles, but by an unquenchable, violent internal fire. His immortal decree, degradation remains a crucible, captivity a dark academy, and upon emancipation, forge every enemy's secret into the ultimate blade of your own terrifying apocalyptic vengeance. As dusk shadowed Malta in 1565, silencing his roar, it extinguished not merely an admiral, but ended half a century of unparalleled mythical Islamic maritime conquests forever. While Barbarossa forged the Iron Armada, Turgut baptized its soul in blood, a blade drawn from pure agony whose monstrous thunder the deep Mediterranean will absolutely never forget.